All right, everybody, welcome back to the bench. Today we're going to go over the Colt 6933, aka the Colt Commando, or whatever you would like to call it, how I have it set up, how I've been running it, and how much I like it. So we're going to go over that review also. But first, huge shout out to Brownells. Brownells is an incredible company. Go on over. You can pick up these Colts, for dirt cheap. Now, I got mine stripped with no bolt carrier group, no charging handle, no backup sight. So everything I put on there was whatever. Midwest Industries did send out the Midwest two-piece free float handguard. They sent that out for review, so we're going to talk about that a little bit in here, but I have a dedicated review on this handguard, so if you guys want to go check that out, by all means. But I pretty much covered everything about this handguard in that review. I am going to talk accuracy just a little bit of this firearm. First of all, it's a pretty decently accurate gun for how cheap it is. You can go pick these up at Brownells, as I said, and they are dumb cheap. Use code BOP10. They are an amazing company, and they are doing a ton for the Second Amendment, and they have these Colts in stock a whole lot. So go check them out, and let's kind of go over the general accuracy real quick before we get into everything. All right, so we're gonna look at this. This is just some cheap Fiocchi 55 grain stuff right here. These are 10 round groups shot indoors with a 4 to 16 power scope. So this is technically a 2-inch group here, but the majority of that group is inside of an inch. It's actually less than an inch. So I don't know if that was a flyer. I think I said it in my accuracy video if that was a flyer or not. All right, so we're gonna go over the Black Hills 77 grain OTM. So this was some stuff that I had. Now I have not run this, I don't think, with any of the AAC stuff, but go check out my accuracy video for that. This stuff is 1 3/4 inches. So we're sitting right here at 1 3/4 inches, 50 yards indoors. Now that's the 77 grain stuff. It is what it is, but I'm just kind of give you guys some reference points. Go check out my accuracy video for more. All right, so that was just some of the accuracy. If you want to see more accuracy, go check out my other video. There is a ton of accuracy stuff I've done with this, and it's all 50 yards indoors. It's a really nice gun. But again, 11.5s. We're not reaching out to 300, 400, 500 yards. This is not what this is meant for. This is like your CQC kind of gun. Gives you a little bit more pack-a-punch than a 10.3, so that's pretty nice. So let's kind of go over how the gun came and how we have it now. So it came with just a little birdcage A2 flash hider. Not a bad deal, you know. If you want one of these are awesome. I highly recommend, if you're not going to run suppress, to run one of those. But we do like to run suppress on this channel anytime we can. My can is currently in jail, but my buddy has a Dead Air Sandman that we've been running this on, and I did run the Lahar 30K on here, which was very nice. So both of those cans I highly recommend for this. They're both K cans, so they're very short, they're very light, and that's just what I like. I like K cans, and I like chemo. I know a lot of people out there are going to be like, oh, you need to get this mount or this mount. I think really the only mount that I would probably go with in the future that's not chemo is probably definitely going to be Reardon. But again, I'm here nor there. I like chemo. I've kind of invested in the chemo. I might do Reardon if I do another Aero can, or maybe something else. But I'm also looking at the RC3. I think that would be a good can to get. But I know a lot of people would probably be like, oh yeah, you should get the RC3. It's going to take me a while to save up for that guy. All right, it's a $1,800 suppressor. All right, so let's go over here. So I have a Forward Control Designs single port brake that is chemo compatible. So that's pretty cool. I did time it with an AccuWasher. Now again, we have that 1-in-7 twist barrel, which is incredible. The groups that are coming out of here were very nice, and in fact I might go take it out and do like 100-yard groups with this at some point, but that will might be unsuppressed. We don't know yet. We'll try to figure all that out. But the Midwest Industries 2-piece free float handguard with the front sight post cutout is actually just an amazing handguard. I like this. It does have some cons. If you go check out my video, I just didn't like that they put they didn't take this little part out here for the M-lock. And, we are gentlemen here on this channel, so make sure you guys understand that M-lock everything. We don't like Picatinny rails, and we definitely don't like that god-awful key mod, whatever that crap is. We don't need any of that, and it's not what we're doing here. So I have about 1,500 to 2,000 rounds on this gun, and it's fantastic. I love shooting this gun. In fact, that's probably one of the biggest cons for me, is that I love shooting it so much. I don't pick up some of my other guns to shoot it. I shoot this one. So the M-lock handguard is very nice, and if you're out there and you're looking for one, I highly recommend these Midwest Industries ones. And thank you to Midwest Industries for sending this out. But you can go get these on Brownells. Use code BOP10. It'll save you some money if you buy one of these handguards. Now, we did go ahead and go with this limited edition OD Green Unity mod button. I do have the light extension, the light rail over here, and I went with a 18350 mod light on here and the DS00. This is, I believe, a PLHV2. Let's take a look. Yeah, PLHV2. Really, I like the OKW for rifle lights, but the PLHV2 is a good light head also. Puts out a ton of light. The mod button is fantastic for just momentary use only, so that's why we have this guy right here. So if you're ever out there and you're wondering why people run the DS00 tail cap, it's because it has the ability to run your light always on all the time. So if you're ever out there and you're wondering, that's probably what you should get. Now, I haven't zip tied this down or done any sort of cable management. You know, that people can say whatever they want, but look, I have backup iron sights on here, you know, finally. It's one of the very few guns that I do. So there you go. It does come with the F-marked front sight post. I'm sorry, it's not F-marked, but they do say that it is the same size because it is a flat top upper. The reason why they don't F-mark them anymore, or from what I've heard, is that most of these are going for flat top upper receivers. They really don't make the retro style anymore, and I don't really know what the difference is or why anybody would go along and do that. Now, it does have the Colt upper receiver. It does have a little square thing right there. It doesn't have a little key notch, so I don't know who... There's a forge out there somewhere that will tell you, or some Colt guy will tell you that it needs to have the thing on there. This one doesn't have their cage code on it, so it is what it is. Their barrel does, in fact, have a cage code. Now, I'm not going to take this thing off because it is strapped down with 6 bolts, and I don't want to have to take all that off. It takes way too much time, but it's really cool, and it's really lightweight. I just love this system. I will put in some weights while we talk about this, because this is a very lightweight upper receiver, and I like it because it's an 11.5, and it's really cool. So I'm running the Holosun 403R gold dot. So I like the gold dot. The gold dot's really nice, and I'm running it on a ScalarWorks 193 mount. Some of my favorite mounts are the ScalarWorks ones. You can also go and get the Reptilia ones. Those ones are very nice. I really like them, but these ones are QD, whereas the Reptilias aren't. So I highly recommend, if you are going to run backup iron sights, run something that has the ability to come off easily and not require a tool, because this does have a little turn dial on the other side here, so you guys can see. You can just undo it, and there you go. I'm running a Forward Control Designs dual dimple. Now, dual dimple versus single dimple, I don't know. It's up to you. I like them both. Like, neither of them are an issue for me, but if you want to go with that. And then I also went with the Midwest Industries backup iron sight, the fixed one. The fixed one is actually pretty nice. I have zeroed it to this gun, and it's zeroed for 50 yards, I believe, so it's not bad. It's a good little iron sight, and I highly recommend it. It does have the little close combat, like big sight there, and then you have your small aperture right there, so you can flip them up and do whatever. Now, let's get into the internals. All right, so with the internals, we have an extremely disgusting Roscoe phosphate bolt carrier group. This is the phosphate one, not the nitride one. So I do like this. It has the ability to absorb a lot of that liquid, whatever you use, has the ability to absorb that, and it works really well. And this one is pretty well worn in. I actually might need to change the rings here pretty soon, because I'm pretty sure if I clean this one again, it probably will fail the ring test. And then I also went with the BCM Mark II. I have a review on this charging handle if you guys are ever interested, but I have the BCM Mark II medium latch with the updated channels for suppression use. This is a fantastic charging handle. If you guys are out there and you're looking for a charging handle and you want something that's really good with suppressed, I actually recommend this over the Geisley. I'm not going to try the Silencer Co. charging handle. First of all, I don't love it. And then, yeah, that's just... It is what it is. You know, it's up to you guys. What do you guys think about it? But I don't love that charging handle, and I've actually seen way too many issues with the first generation, and I realized they updated it to the second generation, but that's not for me. All right, so now that we've gone over the front half, or the tip, let's get to the butt half. And this is a pistol lower. I know everyone's gonna freak out. but it is what it is. I'm running just the standard SBA4 brace because that's what I bought back in the day. B5 grip. Just because I love the angle of this grip. The green is really nice because it goes with a lower. And yeah, that's just kind of how I have the grip set up. Forward control designs pretty much is almost everything else on this upper receiver. Or, I'm sorry, on this lower receiver. So I have the forward control designs, OD green, ambi mag release, because this is what I love. I love the forward control design stuff. And, you know, Geisley makes a really good lower for what it is. I still don't like the fact that they don't bevel their mag well even more, but you can fix that with an HRS Concepts. Forward control designs, extended winter trigger guard, but as you can see, that OD green looks kind of hideous compared to the rest of the OD green. I don't know why they didn't Cerakote it, but it is what it is. I did go with the forward control designs rear biased, dimpled bolt catch, bolt release. And then I have the forward control design standard levers. I don't like the what is it, the topward bias or like the quick style levers. They're just not my jam, but they do work if you want to flip them around and use them the other way. I did test that out. If you have the ones and say you're left-handed and you bought them and you wanted the low side to be over here, it does work if you want to swap them around. It's not a problem. It will actually work. Now we do have the Geisley, what is this? Is this the SD? This is the SD3G trigger. So it has kind of a little bit of take up, but there's nothing wrong with this trigger. I actually love this trigger. It's probably one of my favorite triggers. It works all the time. Just a crisp, barely any take up, and then bam, it breaks. I think my only other trigger that I like more than this is the SSP. The SSP is probably my absolute favorite trigger from Geisley, but that's just me. I know a lot of people out there might say something different. A lot of people love the two-stage triggers. I'm just not one of those. And then forward control designs, pivot pin and takedown pin. These are OD green Cerakoted. Now I actually got two sets of these pins. The first pins that I got of these, they didn't work. They wouldn't fit with any of the upper receivers that I had, and turns out I sent them back to Forward Control Designs and they just went ham on the Cerakote apparently on that one. So they sent me out another set and these have worked perfectly fine, no issues, and I absolutely love them. Now this is marked H1, and funny fact here, let me actually show you guys this. So this is an H1 buffer with the Super 42 spring here, but as you guys can see, all these chatter marks right around here. Now Brownells actually makes, and I have one on the way, Brownells makes an offset pin. So I'm actually getting an offset, what is this? Because this is the titanium V7's one. So Brownells makes one that is, it's offset, so it's able to bring your buffer just a little bit farther forward. And apparently the reason why this happens is your buffer isn't making constant contact with your bolt carrier group. So apparently there's always some sort of wiggle there, and that's how you get these marks. Now, it doesn't happen on a lot of guns, but it definitely has. It's definitely happening on this one, and my FNM 4 lower that I had this same issue, but I sold that gun, and I told the guy who bought it, like, look, invest in this little pin. You can swap it out, and it will work better. But it's this is what happens when your buffer and your bolt carrier group aren't like touching. What ends up happening is you get this scoring line right here, which is fine. That's always going to kind of happen just due to friction. But then you get these chatter marks right along here, and these things kind of get really bad. And that's just what happens when that happens, and you have to go ahead and get an offset pin. So just so you guys are aware, if you guys have this issue, I will actually post up on screen what that pin looks like, and that's a very cheap fix, and it's an easy swap. Takes like 5 minutes. It's not that bad at all. Actually, all you got to do is just kind of break your staking there and go from there. So that is the only other thing I see there. Now, I did go with I have a BCM end plate on here. Now, this thing has been staked many, many times, as you guys can see. And I don't mind this end plate at all. In fact, it will be staked probably a bunch more, but the end plate works fantastic. And then I went with a Forward Control Designs OD Green Castle Nut, because I do like OD Green and it looks really cool. But sometimes, I'm telling you guys, their Cerakoting is not as consistent as like what you would pay for, you know, like that to me just doesn't seem wonderful. I don't know, maybe I'm a little crazy, but I think that their Cerakoting is definitely a little on they need to be more consistent if they're going to Cerakote stuff, because as you guys can see, the pin here is a little bit darker than that there, and then I have another pin that looks more OD green than that. So, you know, it is what it is, and you really can't tell unless you're really up close, but I like how it is. And then the forward control design's dimpled mag release on this side. I don't use the mag release a whole lot on this side, but I do like the way it looks, and it is kind of an aesthetic reason. So if you guys are out there and you're looking for a good lower receiver, I highly recommend all these parts on a Geisley lower. It's not bad. I wish I could get another LMT lower, but they're always out of stock. I'm glad I have the one that I have, but I like these little Geisleys. They're fantastic lowers, and they work really, really well. So if you're out in the market and you're looking for one, by all means, go pick one up. All right, so let's kind of get into the overall impressions of the Colt 6933. Now, as I said, there's about 1,500 to 2,000 rounds on this gun. I have not been super kind to this firearm. I've shot it a whole bunch. I've run it mostly suppressed. It gets very hot, and that's about it. The one thing I can say about the handguard is the heat does transfer. Like if you're out there and you're shooting a lot, the heat will transfer to this handguard. It will be hot. But the cool part is it's not really connected anywhere. It's free floated. So as long as you kind of set it down, you let that wind kind of cool it off a little bit, you're more than welcome to kind of pick it back up in a few minutes, and it works. But it's one of those things, if you are going to shoot a whole lot, and you're going to take like a high round count class or anything like that, I highly recommend take a pair of gloves with you, or go get one of those hot pockets that I have on my 13.9, and that can definitely save your hands a whole lot of trouble in the future, because it's actually pretty cool, and I like how much it keeps the gun cool. Like that's just one of those things. Recoil impulse on this is not bad. Now you can go on some Colt forums and see like what their gas port sizes are for every single one of their firearms. I've owned some 10.5s and some 11.5s, and I actually haven't owned a 10.3. But for an 11.5 running this with an H2 unsuppressed, the gas is perfect. It is incredibly perfect. The softest recoil impulse I think I've ever felt out of just a small gun like this. A Colt must have some sort of unicorn magic that they throw into here, or it's just the technical data package that they know how to kind of create this firearm. I mean, it's wonderful. I do not know the gas port size, and I've never bothered to pin gauge it. First of all, I don't have a pin gauge set, and I don't plan on having one. It's just not something that I'm into. This is a fantastic rifle. The Colt Unicorn Magic they worked on the gas system definitely works out really well. Running it suppressed, it's a little gassy. Now I'm running with a K can. I haven't run it with Sandman S or anything like that. I've just run it with the Sandman K and the Lahar 30K, both of which I ran 5.56 end cap on the Sandman K. It does give a little bit more gas than the 30 cal end cap, but this is a fantastic. I mean, the way this thing shoots is just wonderful, and there's not much more I can say. The barrel profile is a government profile, 7.50 gas block. You can, if you want, make this not a front sight post build, but I don't know why you should. Colt makes other uppers that don't have a front sight post. If that's what you want, look at one of those. But this is incredible, and I love just how much this thing just works all the time. No matter what, I can run it ultra dirty. In fact, I haven't cleaned it in like 500 to 600 rounds. It sits in my safe until I go to the range. And yeah, if you look at the muzzle device on here, it has been caked in carbon and it gets used quite a bit. The one thing I will say is over the bird cage, the forward controls single port brake, I do like it more than I like the bird cage flash hider that Forward Control Designs has, because that one really gets caked up with carbon. And I ran that on the M16A2 build that I have that you guys will see here in the future. I ran that on there, and it has way more caked on carbon than this does. But I've also shot this one unsuppressed a couple times, and it does knock that carbon off. In fact, my camera guy, one time, we had stopped filming, and I was just doing a couple things, and he actually noticed a giant chunk of carbon when this thing shot unsuppressed. He noticed a giant chunk of carbon kind of fly off of it. So it was kind of interesting. I highly recommend just be wary how much carbon you build up on here if you do end up going to shoot unsuppressed. But this single port brake on an 11.5 is brutal. So if you're out there and you want to maintain your friends on the firing line, I highly recommend, if you're going to get this brake, definitely go pick up like a suppressor to put on it, because it's not fun when you're standing anywhere remotely close to this. My buddy Mike absolutely hates when I shoot this thing unsuppressed, and by God, when this thing is unsuppressed, it is partially due to that single port brake, but I mean, it is fantastic. It's a It's a very flat shooting gun. Now, all that has to do with the gas system. It is a carbine length gas system on the 11.5. The dwell time is pretty minimal. So, there's a lot of unicorn magic that Colt kind of does, but at the same time, we kind of know the familiarity with gas port sizes and things like that Colt does with their stuff, which I'm no expert in by any means, but this does work. Now, the BCM Mod 2 or Mark II charging handle does cut down on a ton of gas to the face coming out of this little area right here. It does fan it out the sides, and as a lefty, the cool part is it fans it out both sides, which is what I like as a lefty because it's kind of like non-discriminatory. It just kind of goes wherever, and it's trying to keep the gas away from your eyeballs so you can shoot without having gas in your eyes. And I think it does that to an insane extent, and it works out really well. The phosphate bolt carrier groups are very nice because they do require lube, but they also kind of slow down because when they get to run a little drier, they kind of slow down and they don't let as much gas kind of blow by. That's just kind of shooting a lot when they're brand new and they're clean. They're very well lubricated. They're slick and they run really well. But I will recommend running a phosphate bolt carrier group. If you really want to tune the gas, go pick up a bootleg BCG. I do want to pick one of those up again in the future. I had one. I sold it because I wasn't using it to its fullest potential. So I think in the future I'll pick one up and we'll kind of see how that works with the 11.5. Because I love this gun. This gun is fantastic and it works out really well. So, yeah. If there's any more questions on this, if you guys have any questions about this firearm, please post them down below. I've got nothing really else for you other than this gun is just a fantastic shooter, pretty accurate for what it is, and it works really well. If you guys are out there and you're in the market for a 6933 or just an 11.5 upper receiver with a front side post, Brownells has you covered along with Colt, and they are fantastic. Use code BOP10 when you pick some of these up, and you can pick some of these up sometimes, especially around Black Friday for like less than $400. This upper receiver, it is fantastic. Yes, you got to add on some stuff you want to look like mine, but still, it is a great upper receiver. You can even buy them complete with a backup sight, bolt carrier group, and charging handle, and I mean, that's a smoking deal too. I think you can get those for less than $600. So the Colt BCG, a basic mil-spec charging handle, and their backup flip-up iron sights, which I think is a Magpul Pro. They used to put the Modtex on there, but they quit doing that. So I don't know what's up with that. But if you have any questions, post them down below. I can't thank you guys enough. Again, go check out the channel sponsor and just be awesome, guys. Thank you so much for everything. Please like, share, subscribe. Share this with your friends and family, or not. You don't really have to. And yeah, thank you. As always, be a hoodlum. Beep.